What is going on, guys? It's your boy Mojados, and we're back with another video. Today is everything Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about what we expect next. We're going to be talking about what's currently happening. And of course, we must not ignore the volume right now. Definitely up 114% in the past 24 hours since we've seen the Binance lawsuit from the SEC. And yeah, I mean, that's probably partially why. I don't know if that's the exact reason, but of course, selling off of emotions is never a good thing in my personal opinion. But what do I know, right? I mean, right now we look at BTC. It's just, very, very bullish in my opinion, right? And the reason for that, I'm going to definitely break it down for you guys in this video as to why. But if you guys have not been watching already, back in, December 31, I do a monthly update. We pretty much called the bottom there. Feel free to go look at that update. We also called the top here at 25K. And I didn't actually catch this wick here at 21 before I went to 30. So that part I did miss, but right now I'm getting really bullish again. And again, I do these videos for documentation purposes, so definitely want to consider that in case some people here might take it as literal financial advice. I'm just a guy on the internet, and I want to just give that disclaimer before I start getting into it. But let's jump right in. Taking a look, basically, like we have, every single thing or every single bottom for Bitcoin has been some type of range, right? And basically what you can see is that this range is pretty much completed. Now, granted, not everything's gonna play out exactly the same. We may even see a retest back from 21K, but I think that we go higher. And what would that look like? I don't know exactly what that looked like, but the bottom is already in my opinion. I don't think we go back lower than 15K. And I think the possibility for 21K is low. And I think we're currently at a support as we speak. Now, I want to preface that with, saying that don't expect price action to just be as clean and clear cut, because this cycle is the first cycle, or the last cycle actually I should be saying, was the first time that Bitcoin saw a double top. It's the first time that Bitcoin retraced all the way back to a previous all-time high. And it's also the first time Bitcoin didn't reclaim its dominance in the bear market. So a lot of things are not exactly the same as they used to be. So you must consider that and not really try to draw direct correlations, but kind of look at similarities, use them to your advantage. And right now we're seeing that, yes, after every range, there is an uptrend. But what does that uptrend look like? That's not so clear cut. However, we do know that as we approach the halving, after the range, there's usually some level of retracement. Now, it might not be direct. It might be before, like we saw here in 2020. But we are approaching the March 2024 halving. Okay, so we might get a retrace before. We might actually come back to 19K, or we might continue seeing a big move all the way into the halving, and then after the halving see a big dump take place, like I think it was right here in 2016 where Bitcoin peaked at 770 and then corrected down to 480 after the halving. But of course it went back on an uptrend. Now, of course, like we saw today, just off of the SEC suing Binance, you saw a 10% discount on Bitcoin, or 10% retrace actually on Bitcoin. But we're actually sitting at a very interesting level, because as you can see, the range in the past usually acts as a support because lots of trading volume took place there. Now, right now, what I expect is actually for us to, sit in this order block, right? In this area around 25 to 22K, I believe, and there we can probably chop and then probably break up from that level. Now, of course, taking a look at this current sell-off, it's actually pretty nice, right? And, as you can see, it's forming some type of flag here, if you will, where, we look from this level specifically, right? And then you start seeing a sell-off, and the volume is declining as well. Now, granted, it's not going to be as clean and clear cut as we expect, but overall, we're sitting above the support here at 25K. We do still have bullish price action off the lows. Now, granted, it's not going to be, again, super clean and clear cut. We did stop at this 1 week order block at around 30K. And again, resistances do not break on the first try. That's, very, very common in trading. People, it's kind of a given, like people do know that. But ideally, I'm kind of interested to see how we approach this next quarter with this lawsuit from Binance and what people are going to be pretty much acting like. But again, with the halving approaching, it's bullish regardless. And we've already gone sideways for long enough. And I've actually shared this on my Twitter before. That's the wrong one there. There you go. So pretty much Total did the same thing. And the reason why we need to understand Total's chart, this is from August 11th of 2022. The reason why Total is so important is because when Total is bullish, the rest of the market is bullish. And then we can technically say Bitcoin is bullish as well. And when we look at Total right now, what you can see is pretty much, us gearing up after going sideways for so long to the upside. Now, granted, there can be some downside here, and that's important to take a look at as well. But even Bitcoin dominance, right? Like, it's kind of just chopping here. We don't know if this does break down. That's something definitely to consider as well. But ideally, going into the halving, there is usually an uptrend. But to me, because the Bitcoin dominance is actually, kind of breaking down here and actually reacting badly off this range high, I think we're probably going to mimic the 2016 type of retracement where we do go into the halving kind of bullish. But again, we probably will see a retrace before going up again. And the reason for that is because, right now, even though the sell-off is occurring throughout the market, it's still less. Like, Bitcoin's not reclaiming its dominance throughout the sell-off. It's kind of been literally ranging throughout the whole entire bear market because of a lot of different reasons. I mean, this time, around, there's been a lot more coins, a lot more saturation. Bitcoin dominance is never going to be what it was. But it still doesn't mean that we can't use it for technical analysis, because again, what we can see is that people are just kind of selling their Bitcoins into alts and then buying back their Bitcoin, right? That's something just to use for, Bitcoin traders, because we like to, accumulate more sats. And, looking at these correlations on Total and Bitcoin dominance, you can kind of say, okay, the rest of the market cap looks like it wants to go up, like the whole total market cap. Bitcoin dominance may have a pullback. Maybe there's some alts I can long, right? That's an idea, because in 2021, what we saw was when Bitcoin ranged at the high, we saw pretty much a drop take place. Now, granted, Bitcoin, of course, at this level can continue retracing. It can continue to chop at this level. And as it chops, that's maybe the reason why some alts pretty much take the lead. But that doesn't necessarily have to play out that way, because I've shown this example before and I'll show it again. It's possible that we've seen 5 waves up, right? And this is like one of those bearish scenarios I'm just going to have to share because, at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to ignore this possibility. And pretty much, we've pretty much seen like 3-4 year cycles take place. And now we're pretty much seeing an ABC correction play out. And the most important thing here is seeing, price go up to around 45K and breaking past it, or, completely stopping out right at the 61.8 region, which is the highest level a B wave can go to. Should it be a zigzag? Now, granted, it doesn't need to be a zigzag. It can actually go lower or go higher, which would actually take the zigzag correction out of the picture. But looking at the subdivision of wave A, it looks like 5 waves down. And also looking at B wave, it can be actually 3 waves up. And we could be in that through actual completion of wave A, and then B, and then C. So for my Elliott waivers, you probably guys know what I'm talking about. We've completed the A wave of the B wave, and right now we're watching the B wave play out before we continue going higher into the C wave, which then takes us back lower to the C wave. And the reason for that is because, guys, again, like, people are saying, well, how could you be bearish that we go lower again? I mean, this is a possibility. We don't necessarily have to see a zigzag. We can even see a flat correction. This can turn into a triangle. It doesn't necessarily have to go down, but this is just for, simplicity's sake. And the reason why I think that, we might not break out to all-time highs is simply for the fact that we've put a double top here. Bitcoin has retraced back to a previous all-time highs, and Bitcoin did not reclaim its dominance throughout the bear market like it did back in 2019. So with those correlations in mind, we have to consider this as a possibility, or at least I will. You don't need to, right? I mean, this is just exactly what technical analysis is. I'm just looking at the data, putting together 2 and 2 and saying this is a possibility, and that's just the harsh reality of TA. Everybody has the right to their own opinion. Necessary doesn't need to be right or wrong, but it's something that I'm considering. I'm anticipating it, and if the things check out, this is why we do monthly updates, guys. We need to keep on up to date on different scenarios, and then adjust accordingly. That's just what trading is. Anybody who's in this market long enough knows that. And even right now, guys, the RSI is still very bullish, something I've talked about last month as well. And right now, I just can't help myself but to be bullish. Looking at the EMAs on the weekly, being reclaimed, acting as a support right now. I think it's going to be crucial that 200 EMA holds. It's also confluent with that order block that we spoke about and the range high back at around 24K that we saw on this chart over here. So again, overall, it does look like we're going to get some type of bounce at this level. I don't know how high it goes, but looking at this, subdivision of this correction, I just have to believe that we're going to go higher. Now, we also did see the debt ceiling get increased, which is actually very good because as you guys know, when the money printer is on, there's a heavy correlation between the S&P and Bitcoin, pretty much being directly correlated. I think it's the S&P or the DJI, one of them, or even the NASDAQ. I think it's one of those where they're like super directly correlated. When one is pretty much bullish, the other one is the same. But again, we must consider that all possibilities are on the table. And, again, looking at the past, guys, I've been trading for over 5 years, guys. And this was a time that I called the actual bottom all the way back from 30K. Which you can go back even further. I spoke about the possibilities, or actually I called this bottom actually, but then I started seeing the subdivision and then put this out. And I was actually on the money, right? When everyone was saying, oh, we're going to new all-time highs, when Bitcoin broke past this level, everyone was calling for all-time highs. But guess what? We said no. I thought we were going to bounce off the sea level, and we didn't. And that is what the point of trading is. We were right. We did get a bounce. We did go up. Stop losses were cut. We move our stops up. And that's the point of all this shit, right? Everybody has their own strategy. I actually did take a loss here, ironically enough, when it did go back down. But, that's what the point of risk management is. And that's why I document this stuff, right? This was put out. I did very well off this move, all the way from 30K to 60K, and then from 60K down to 30K, 30K to 40K. I mean, you got to just take a look at all the stuff. You can take your shorts, you can take your longs. But again, the whole point of is risk management, taking a look at different possibilities, thinking about stuff or possibilities that maybe some people are not comfortable with. And even over here, guys, I mean, I just put out this thread all the way back in March of 2014 saying that the range high was a target, and guess what happened? We're literally flirting at that level right now, and I think we break down. Same thing for total back in August 11th of 2022, talking about what it means if we hold back above this level at 1.12 trillion, and we didn't get it yet. We keep on, flirting at that level as well, and we actually got a break, but then a fake out. Of course, it doesn't matter. The inevitable is coming around the corner. I think that we continue to go sideways and chop at this level and get a reclaim, just like we saw a reclaim back here at 17.5 before Bitcoin went on a rampage to 31K. And that's exactly what I'm expecting on the total chart, and nobody is going to be able to stop it. But if you're paying attention on this channel, if you're subscribed and liking with notifications on, you will not miss my monthly analyses on Bitcoin. Analysis, is that even a word? Somebody let me know. But you will not miss my analysis on Bitcoin. So with that, I am, going to conclude this video by just letting you know that I'm cautiously bullish at this level, okay? I think that, yes, we'll probably bounce here. We might even revisit 29K, but it might not be clean, right? And we might even consolidate here. Right? And the point of it is to just react at a level that is probably more clear, not as much ambiguity, but 25K and this order block around 22 is probably going to be an area of interest depending on how we react, because at the end of the day, If we see vertical price action with high sell volume, that means there's probably more blood to be shed, right? So even then, I can change my opinion because of the data that's being presented, right? At the end of the day, we forecast as technical analysts on what we think is going to happen. But if the data is changing, then guess what? We must, go with the data, and that is extremely important. So with that, again, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Make sure you're up to date. And as always, hodl, hodl, hodl. Peace.